Hello, everyone. It's Ryan Scott here again. I'm the lead columnist for D3Hoops.com. And today we have Polly Thomason with us, someone who, if you were following Division III women's basketball before COVID, you probably know her name has been around. She's been a national committee chair before and 17 years at the Texas Dallas before they went Division II. But the last few years, she's been sort of building the Hartford program as they're transitioning from Division I, and now moving literally this weekend while we're recording this, moving to Randolph College in Lynchburg, Virginia. So, Polly, thanks for taking some time out of this busy weekend to talk with me.
Oh man, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I'm a huge fan of D3 Hoops. Obviously, I love Randolph, so anything I can do to promote women's basketball, promote Randolph College, like all for it. So again, thanks for having me and including me on this.
Yeah, so your journey is moving you all over the place, right? So Texas, I know when you went to Connecticut, there was a lot of us sort of side-eyeing. We're like, does she know how different Connecticut is from Texas? Um, and then now to Lynchburg, which, I guess Virginia is the South, but not the way Texas is South, right? So what has it been just moving around the country and getting some different experiences? What's that been like?
It's been awesome. I've really enjoyed. I mean, I don't like the moving process. Don't get me wrong. But I'm grateful for my 17 years at UT Dallas. I'm really, I think I was blessed to be there for a long period of time. But I'm really loving just seeing new places, meeting new people. It's. I wish I would have done this earlier in my career, to be honest, because it's made me a better person. It's made me a better coach. So I'm really thankful that I've been giving opportunities to move and to learn and to grow. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed my experiences. I've made some incredible friends through this process. So just I wouldn't change anything for the world.
And maybe you can give us some perspective going from Texas to New England. We know New England women's basketball is a totally different beast altogether. What has it been like for a few years, kind of immersed in that recruiting environment up there?
Yeah, like I said, it's a learning experience. I said this to someone a couple of weeks ago. I feel like not just the recruiting experience, but like there are incredible coaches all across the country. But New England, like I don't think I ran into a coach that wasn't working their tail off, that wasn't preparing at a high level. It doesn't have to be the top 25 team that you're still running into coaches that are really, really good and make you better at what you do and how you do things. So, I mean, there wasn't a game that I couldn't slack off because of the coaches in New England are just incredible. They're just really talented coaches. And I think going to the ODAC, it's going to be just the same. I think I've always wanted to challenge myself and make myself a better coach. And you only do that by playing the top and being a part of elite conferences. So it is what it is. You're either going to get better or you're going to lose. So I'm just trying to get better every day.
Yeah, and I know you want to talk about the new team and not the old team, but we do have a few questions because Hartford is kind of the pioneer of what we're seeing. St. Francis is moving. We think there are probably some other D1s that will become D3 in the future. And I'm just curious about the process. I was trying to match up the rosters. It looked like you only had one player hold over from your first year going from the D1 to D3. What was it like essentially starting from scratch, but in a school that has high expectations?
Yeah, I think it was honestly very challenging. One of the things you rely on as a coach, especially when you've been at a program for an extended period of time, is your upper class leadership. Is relying on your juniors and seniors to set your standard and your culture and to hold everybody accountable because coaches, we can't be there all the time. We're not in the locker room. We're not in their dorm rooms, and as Division III coaches, we're only there for 19 weeks. So you really rely heavily on your team. And if you're replacing your roster, which we did 2 of my 3 years, practically had to turn it over because of the process. Like it's an incredibly hard thing to do to just start that over from scratch. It's like I was talking to our men's volleyball coach at Randolph, and he's building a brand new program, and we were in the same boat. That's practically what we were doing. And it's difficult. I mean, kudos to all the coaches that are having to do that because it's not an easy thing. And yeah, we had the turnover because of the process, and I'm excited because Randolph's got juniors and seniors and has a culture established. So kind of just takes a little bit off my plate and can focus on some other areas.
Yeah, and then the other question is sort of what is the recruiting like? Obviously, you have D1 facilities and you've got a name recognition. You've got players you can promise playing time to because there's no one else there. But at the same time, you're asking them to step out in a little bit of an unknown situation. How did that go?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to be able to tell your story and tell your vision, which is what we were doing. Obviously, student athletes want to be able to compete at a high level and want to be able to play in the playoffs. And for our first 2 years, my first year, there was not a conference. Second year, we were not eligible for a conference tournament or NCAA. So you just kind of have to get them to understand like they're going to make a sacrifice, but it's going to be worth it. Last year at Hartford, we were in the conference tournament, right? We played in CNE for the first time in program history, which is something really exciting and something that they can really rely on as far as like this is part of our story and what we accomplished. So I think you just have to be able, like anywhere you go, you just have to find the story and you have to be able to sell your vision as the coach. And yeah, we've got turned down a lot because especially with the grad students and the seniors, they didn't want that experience for their last couple of years. And we were competing against teams that were loaded with grad students and seniors, and we were young. But it's just, it's what you have to do anywhere is just figure out like what are we good at here? What can we hold our hat on to? What can we not promise, but like what can we share with them that like this is what we're going to accomplish, and we want you to come be a part of that.
Um, you can say as much or as little about this as you want, but we're making the assumption that you did not want to be looking for a job this summer. Probably wanted to see this hard work through to eligibility that Hartford is finding this year. But I imagine someone with your pedigree and your record, 350 wins, a bunch of NCAA tournament appearances, you had some opportunities that you were exploring, more than one. Why did you pick Randolph as the place that you ended up at?
Yeah, I Randolph actually ended up being phenomenal for me. Number one, my youngest nephew is a student athlete at Randolph. I'm really close to my family. That was the hardest thing about leaving UT Dallas is that they're in Texas. So, opportunity to be near my family was priority number one. And then my other nephew, he transferred to a school. I'm not going to say because they're a competitor now, but he transferred to a school an hour away from us at Randolph. So from a personal standpoint, like that just aligned with me and what's so important to me. We already have talks of like there's going to be so many game days that all three of us are playing in the Randolph gym. So like it's going to be a really amazing experience that I'm looking forward to. But then also talking to my nephew who attends Randolph, his experience was incredible his freshman year. The experience he had was exactly what I want for my student athletes, for the players I coach, for what I hope that they get from our experience being a part of our program. And it spoke volumes to me what he was able to accomplish, the friendships he's made, the professors and the president and our athletic director, just how much they are invested in our students and our student athletes. Like it's the kind of place you want to coach because you feel supported and your vision is like, yeah, let's do it. So those are all factors. And then ODAC. It's one of the oldest, most respected conferences in the country, in my opinion. When Texas Dallas, when we were in the South together with the ODAC before they went to 10 regions, man, we had to compete with them for those regional rankings. And I remember just like how impressive the ODAC was on the men's and women's side. And like I said, I want to compete at a high level. I want to be challenged by the coaches I go against. And the ODAC's is going to be a great landing spot for all of those things. So yeah, other opportunities were definitely out there, but this was the one that was just like everything aligned for me in that way.
And we should probably differentiate a little bit for those who are not in Virginia or familiar with the ODAC. There is Randolph Macon that won a men's championship not long ago. Randolph is a different school in a
It is.
different part of the state even. What makes Randolph unique? Is there a little bit, I don't know how much of the history you know yet, but what sets that apart so that we can make sure we differentiate these two schools?
Right. Well, we were originally the women's college from Randolph Macon. They didn't allow women back in the day, so we started in that way, and this college has transformed into co-ed, which has been pretty exciting to see the growth as far as where we're headed. I know enrollment's going to be increased in the next few years. It's already making growth in that way, which is just, I think it's an exciting time to be at Randolph. I think what makes us different is our ability to connect with our students like on an individual basis. It's not 25,000 person school, which is what UT Dallas was, obviously. It's really, we have an ability to connect with our students and our student athletes just in a way that I think other schools aren't going to be able to or haven't been able to. And I think, honestly, that's what this generation wants. They want to feel that they're getting something out of their education, the money that they're investing, and they're getting personal relationships with the people that they're around every day. I think that's what this generation is really about. And Randolph is that 100%. So I've experienced it as the coach walking in, and like there's not a stranger on campus, and I've not been there very long, which is awesome. And I can only imagine what the students feel when they're on campus walking around, and everyone's there just to help them, help their dreams come true, help them be successful. And like, what a great place that is to be.
Yeah, and Randolph is a place with a long tradition of women's basketball. Being originally a
Mm-hmm.
women's college, they're playing intercollegiate athletics even before Title IX, but not a ton of success there, right? I was looking, Steve Lamper, who you're replacing, had three
Mm-hmm.
winning seasons coming out of COVID, which was the first time there'd been any winning seasons in 40 years. Not a school, as I said, a lot of people outside the region may confuse it with Randolph Macon because there just hasn't been that there. What about the program and the setting makes you feel like you can succeed here?
Well, kudos to Steve. I mean, he got Randolph women's basketball to a point where they're a playoff team, right? So he's done. Honestly, I think he's done some hard work to get them to that level. You know, playing the ODAC championship or playing in the ODAC championship tournament is not an easy feat since it is a very tough conference. So they've done a lot of hard work. And to be honest, like UT Dallas was not what it was until we came in and changed that culture and built a winning program. So I just feel like I'm a builder. I feel like who I am just speaks to that. You know, I've only gone into programs that we've had to kind of reestablish and build things. And as long as we've got the support from the institution and the players are buying in, like I don't see why we can't be successful. I think we've got the things and the tools in place that let's do it. I'm excited about what we're going to be able to accomplish and the challenge ahead. Of course, will be difficult, but I think it's going to be worth it. And the coolest thing I tell recruits is like being a part of that first championship team. Like it's pretty special. And that history has not been made for us yet. So like, why not? Like, why not do it this year? Why not next year? Like, I mean, who knows? Like, we just got to come in and work hard and put our belief that anything can happen as long as we are playing together.
You mentioned the institutional support. I think that's something we've seen from Randolph across the sports through the athletic department the last few years that they've been investing and being a little more
Mm-hmm.
intentional about that. Can you speak a little more in detail? Like, what does that mean as a coach that you have institutional support? Like, what things do they get you that you might not get at every place to help you succeed?
Well, it starts obviously with the president wanting us to be successful, and she's all about athletics. She is a faculty rep for the men's basketball team. Had them over to her house the other day for dinner, and I'm waiting for my invite. Don't worry. But no, I think that like the president is involved. She's hands on. Like I can't tell you how many times presidents at my other universities have even gone to some of our games. So just for her to be knowing that athletics is valuable to our university, the culture, the enrollment, the school spirit, like all of those things that athletics does, you know, she's all in. And our athletic director Tom, he is probably the hardest worker I've been around. He is a grinder. He is going to do whatever he needs to do, whatever he can do for all of his coaches. And I think coaches, we think sometimes we are the hardest working people. So when you have someone above you that is like even more of a grinder, like it just inspires you. It makes you excited because he does want us to be successful. So I think it's like whatever I ask for, that doesn't mean I'm always going to get it, but he's going to help us figure out a way to do it. There's not going to be a no. And I think that's the biggest thing is we're not going to be shot down because you know, maybe we can't afford it, or maybe there's just obstacles in the way. He's going to be like, okay, what do we need to do to make it happen, right? And I think to me, like that's incredible. As long as like we have someone that's going to help us or encourage us, like it means that we are going to be able to accomplish what we want to accomplish on and off the court.
Yeah, and you team record dropped back a little bit last year, 12 and 14, but that kind of was coinciding with the ODAC women's basketball kind of taking a step forward. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the reputation has been there, but the results have not been the last few years. And now you're really seeing kind of some step up to national prominence with multiple teams. Um, you haven't spent a lot of time there yet. You're just moving. But what do you
Well,
know about the
I was,
ODAC and the teams that
yeah.
you're gonna face?
Yeah, no, I have been on campus for this last month. We're just this is the week the trucks come. But yeah, it's I mean Randolph Macon, what was it, the Elite Eight this past year? Obviously, Shenandoah has been in the conference championship game, played in the NCAA. You know, we cannot forget Mary over at and I'm blanking on her school now because you
Washington
caught me
Lee.
off
Yeah.
guard. Yeah, thank you. No, I do. I do. I still pay attention on a national level, even though I've been in the New England and I've been focused on that region. But yeah, it's hard to miss what ODAC is doing, and it was exciting to see them make long runs. And yeah, I don't think there's a lot of seniors that graduated this past year, with the exception of the seniors at Randolph. So we do have a lot of work ahead of us, and it's going to be challenging. But like that's to me, that's the fun of it. That's the exciting part is just to see how good and where we need to go. You know, where are the places that we need to recruit? Where are the who are the people we need to get after? But it's what makes our job fun, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you mentioned not, actually having returners here coming into this program as opposed to the last stop, but from what I was counting, five seniors graduating, four of the top six in minutes, most of the scoring. I mean, this is a new team. You might have
It
some
is.
players who know their way around campus, but what are you expecting out of this season? How much have you gotten? I don't know if you've used your 8 early practices or anything yet. How much do you know about the team, and what are you expecting from them?
Well, I mean, I'm expecting us to just have a great season. And I don't think great means wins and losses. I think just us coming together, us getting to know each other, working hard together, sharing the same vision. Like that's what I'm excited about. I already know that this group, yeah, they've lost a lot as far as like personnel and what they did on the court. But it seems to me that they are a very close knit group. They are committed to our process already. Like, they stop by my office all the time and check in and say hi and like they cannot wait for us to start. And like it's just an amazing feeling to be around student athletes that just want to get better, that want to be challenged, that want to be pushed, that want everything that I believe in as a coach. I can't wait. Like we had an elite camp a couple weeks ago, and like the energy and the excitement and just how they are together. It's whew, it's awesome. Like I'm just looking forward to. We're going to start on October 6th for our first official day, and I'm like, I'm itching to get in the court and on the gym or get in the. Yeah, you understand. I'm itching for those moments with them because again, win and losses aren't reflective of I think a success of a team. Coach K has said that a long time ago, and I'm a big believer of like sometimes it's about your process of coming together and growing together, and that's what I believe in. And maybe that'll be what we do this year. I mean, who knows? We're going to get out there and work hard and see what happens.
As far as recruiting, you've been moving geographically to a bunch of different places. I assume you keep connections, but it's probably not the easiest thing to get New England kids or Texas kids to Lynchburg, Virginia. How do you approach coming into a new place without having the local connections that other coaches do?
Well, thankfully, I've got a great assistant on staff who is local and has been at Randolph for 3 years. So really relying on him to know the surrounding areas and the areas that are have been hotbeds for us, in the Virginia region. But to be perfectly honest, I think this day and age, student athletes do want to travel. I think they do want to leave where they're at. So me expanding my recruiting base, and when I was in Texas, we only recruited Texas kids, being a state school. New England, I went all over the country. That roster at Hartford was lots of different states and lots of different places. So I envision like it might not be New England, but there's still a lot of pockets that people do want to have a different experience. And so just reaching out to those and finding the right fit, that's what it's all about. That's what it's always been about, is just finding the right fit for Randolph. We want them to be proud of what they accomplish at Randolph and proud of their alma mater. So just finding someone that fits that for us is, it's not, I mean, anywhere you go, it's not easy, but I think it also is. Like, I think it is easy to target those student athletes and get them to love, what you love about the school.
And you mentioned earlier how important the student leadership is. You're not in the dorms. There's a whole lot of aspects of the team that you cannot control. But coming into a new situation as a coach, someone who's done this for a while, often there are younger coaches listening to this. What are the things you prioritize in terms of building the team? Not just what's on the court, but like getting them together on the same page, moving in the same direction. How do you approach that, and what do you intentionally do?
Yeah, number one is just relationship building with them. I learned this earlier this summer. I liked this phrase I heard. It's like they didn't choose me at Randolph. I chose them basically. So just getting them to know who I am, the first things we did is just like, here's me. You didn't get to know me through the recruiting process. Here's what I'm about. Here's what I value. Here's my family. Here's why I chose Randolph, right? Just getting them to know me and then switching the roles and I wanting to know them because I didn't have a couple of years of recruiting them and recruiting their families and knowing where their background, where they're from, what's important to them. So number one is like building those relationships, right? And getting them to understand like I value them. I want them to be successful, that they're not just a number or an X and an O on the board, that they're people who have dreams. They're people who are about to graduate in 1 year, or maybe they've got two, or maybe they're freshmen, but understanding like my role is to help them get to that next step, whatever it is post Randolph for them looks like. And so, they need to know that's what I'm about. And in order for them to trust me as a coach, like they got to know that I love them, I support them, I have their back. And so just building that relationship's been the biggest thing for me. At times it's hard when I'm not there, but right, just still relying on our technology to do those things. And then just figuring out who we are on the court is a priority, right? What are we going to be good at? Because we've not been on the court with them yet. So just watching film, figuring out, what are we going to be successful at? What do we need to run to win games offensively and defensively? And then just getting to know the university and the staff and the people and how it operates. Like those are all the things that we've been doing for the last like 3 weeks, basically. And now we move and pack.
With a group like this that you didn't recruit to any sort of specific style or way of playing, how do you approach that on the court stuff? Do you really try to work with what they can do well? Do you try to kind of mix it in with what you want to do as systemically? How do you approach what's on the court?
Yeah, I think for me, that's really all I've ever been as a head coach, is just figuring out what we're good at. I'm not a big system person. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But just with the different types of teams I've had in my career, it's been easier for me just to kind of tweak a few things here and there and then focus on what we can be very successful at. And sometimes it's the offense has to change, sometimes it's our defense. But I think I've always just really been flexible in what I'm going to do and what we're going to run. So that's not intimidating for me. It's just being able to watch film, being able to watch practices when we get there. So we can make better decisions. And then maybe we decide something we put in is awful and just being flexible with what we're doing and changing that. I think that's just who I am as a person anyway, is just I'm really adaptable. So we'll just kind of roll with the flow, basically. Go with the flow.
Sure. And then my last question, you had rave reviews as the national committee chair. You still got lots of connections all around the sport here. Any thoughts about jumping back into that process again in the future and getting back on this committee?
I mean, give me a couple of years. I'm like exhausted right now. It's been tough. Yeah, it's been a tough last few years just because it's been a lot more work than when you've got a program going and rolling. So maybe a couple more years to just get my bearings as far as where I'm at. But I mean, the people who know me, whether it's the national committee or the WBCA, like they know I'm willing to do whatever for our game. And for Division III, it's given me so much. I want to give back. So I'm always willing to step up in any way that they need me. If they need me this year in any capacity, then absolutely I'm there for it. I'm not going to volunteer for it anytime soon, but yeah, whatever is needed. I just think service is a big thing, and I am willing.
Any other thoughts for the Randolph community or your team or your family, whoever might be watching this, about
Well,
this move and this new challenge that you're taking on?
yeah, well, number one, before I get to that, I would love for us as Division III coaches, not just basketball, but like especially on the women's side, to start thinking about male practice players. It's the only level of the game, or the only level in college that athletics that we are limited in the number of male practice players we're able to use. And I think there's a lot of good benefits that multiple sports, not just basketball, could use from. So it might be something to look into. And then, yeah, I'm thrilled for this next chapter. I feel like myself. I feel so pumped about Randolph College and what a great place it is, and I can't wait to get back on campus with my student athletes. I love them so much. They're a great group. They're a lot of fun to be around. So I miss them already. So I'm just looking forward to the season. It's going to be a lot of fun, and just I'm thankful for Randolph believing in me and giving me that opportunity.
Well, talk a little bit more about the male practice players. Give us a little
Oh,
background on what the issues are going on there. I know, especially because we're seeing as we're starting the season on our end, we put in all these schedules, we look through the rosters. There are a lot of shorter benches in Division III
yeah.
women's basketball. I assume it's harder to recruit as many players as you'd like to have for practice. So why is this important? What's kind of the issue going around with it right now?
Well, and let's talk about too, like there's this cliff coming that everyone talks about where there's not going to be as many students. So like I think now's the time to start thinking about the male practice. So I do not remember how long ago it was, but I do know it was probably over 10 years ago. The National SAC wanted to implement male practice player limitations for every division, one, two, and three. Obviously, women's basketball at Division I and Division II use male practice players at a high level. I mean, they have a full team. If you look at South Carolina, they have a full team. They call it the highlighters, where they are just practice players, right? Professional levels do the same thing. So I think the compromise was okay. Division I, Division II, you guys can keep the unlimited use of male practice players, but as a compromise to the SAC, we're going to put the implementation on Division III. A lot of Division IIIs, I know we've got a couple of all women colleges, right? So they don't see a need for male practice players. That's fine. I just don't think we should be limited by the few. But they limited us where it's one male practice, one day where we can have up to half of our roster. So for basketball, that's three. So we can have three male student athletes one day a week. Well, I don't know about you, but that's really difficult to manage. What day of the week is it going to be? And then keep track. And like, it would be better. We had maybe five for multiple days. From a standpoint, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, yes, our rosters, some places, they are probably at 12. You get two injuries, it's hard to go 5-on-5. It's hard to rest your starters. It's hard to limit your minutes when you know you got things to accomplish. Late in the season, early in the season, none of that matters. Schools that have larger rosters, maybe they don't need it for roster size, but I'm sure that they would love to have it to make their talent better. When you go against bigger, stronger, faster, you got to become better in those areas, right? That's why the pro levels use malpractice players. So I think there's a lot of benefits to it, whether it's from helping your roster maintain health, maintain being able to go 5-on-5. I think from a bench standpoint, it maybe gives a little bit more. Hey, I don't have to be the scout team every practice because I got a male practice player that can do that. I think there's a lot of reasons why we should totally revisit this. The problem, though, is we have to, since it's a Division III rule, we have to get the legislation changed, which means other sports have to get on board, right? And that's kind of been our holdup as far as like other sports don't really care because it seems like it's only a basketball thing. But I was at a softball tournament, a Division I regional, and they were using male practice players as their bullpen catchers. And I was like, that's brilliant. Like, that's a brilliant use. Like, why not save your catcher and have a male
Sure.
practice player that catches it, right? So I think there's ways we can address it, and but I think that it's a needed change.
Yeah, I mean, that's an issue I was completely unaware of. So it's good that we're bringing this up to be able to talk about. I was way back 25 years ago, male practice player for one season. We had too many injuries at school and they couldn't play 5-on-5. And that was a really rewarding experience to know you're helping the team
Yeah,
when I was a very middling intramural basketball player at best, but I definitely had decent footwork and could help with
yeah.
defense. But um,
Exactly.
yeah, and
Yeah. And I
especially,
played
yeah, like,
I played against soccer players and football players when I was in school, right? And it didn't hurt the experience, it didn't hurt the opportunities that our women had on the team. I think it made us better and it made us closer together as a team, being able to like rally against those guys.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad that we were able to bring that up. That's a really interesting thing that we'll maybe revisit through the season. And I'm sure Dave McHugh would like to dig deeper into it when hoops will get
Yes.
started as well. So,
And if anybody's
thanks so
interested,
much.
shout out. Yeah, I'm just going to say, if anybody wants more info, shout out Carissa Sane over at Illinois Institute of Technology. She's kind of spearheading this, so go email her.
All right. Well, we'll definitely make sure that we're spreading this around and getting the conversation going, so we can hear from
Awesome,
everybody and try to make some progress on that. Um,
great,
but I
thank
just want
you.
to thank you for your time, especially a moving weekend. I'm sure you're very busy, but we wanted to get a chance to talk to you before things get
Yeah,
super busy with the season. And I know I will not be able to do as many interviews as I want to once we get started with actual games. So thanks for making the
yeah.
time and the best of luck at Randolph.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.